I've covered a lot of natural disasters, but nothing quite prepares you for the way a single earthquake can unravel an entire city. Take Japan, for instance, where just last week, a 7.1 magnitude quake left 18 people dead and countless lives upended. But here's what really gets me thinking. How does a country that's built its entire infrastructure around earthquake preparedness still face such devastating outcomes? It's not just about the shaking, it's about the systems that fail after the shaking stops. Like that Aeon Mall in Kumamoto, imagine thousands of people shopping, then suddenly the ceiling collapses, trapping people in a nightmare of steel and concrete. And then there's the gas explosion. What even is that? A secondary disaster, right? It's like the earthquake wasn't enough. Now you've got a fireball in a mall. I mean, how do you even begin to evacuate people when the ground is still trembling? It's chaos, but it's also a mirror, showing how fragile our assumptions about safety can be. Personally, I think the gas explosion is the kind of thing that gets overlooked in the aftermath. We focus on the initial quake, the collapsing buildings, but the real danger often comes from the systems we rely on to keep us safe. Like gas lines, electrical grids, water supply, those are the things that should be resilient, but clearly, they're not. What makes this really interesting is how it highlights the gap between preparedness and reality. Japan has drills, building codes, emergency protocols, but when you throw in a sweltering heat wave and a gas leak, suddenly those systems are tested in ways no simulation could predict. And that's terrifying. From my perspective, this isn't just about the mall. It's about the entire infrastructure of a modern society. How many of us assume that our cities are built to survive anything? I mean, look at the numbers. Nearly 35,000 homes without power, 15,000 without water. That's not just inconvenience, it's a crisis. People are stuck in shelters with no air conditioning, and the heat is a silent killer. What many people don't realize is that the real battle after a disaster isn't just finding survivors, it's keeping the living alive while the systems around them crumble. And then there's the human element. The Aeon president bowing deeply at a press conference, how much does that say about corporate accountability? Because sure, they're sorry, but was the mall even built to handle a 7.1 quake? Or did they just meet the minimum legal requirements? A detail I find fascinating is how the same region was hit by a deadly quake in 2016. That's not a coincidence. Japan sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, and yet, we keep rebuilding in the same spots. It's like we're fighting a war we know we'll lose, but we keep sending troops anyway. What this really suggests is that resilience isn't just about technology, it's about psychology. How do people cope when disaster becomes a routine? When you've lived through one earthquake, and then another, and another, do you start to feel invincible, or just numb? I think it's the latter. And that's dangerous. Because if you're numb, you stop preparing. If you're numb, you stop innovating. And then, when the next quake hits, you're not just unprepared, you're disillusioned. So, as we watch the news unfold, I can't help but wonder, how do we balance the inevitability of nature's power with the human drive to rebuild, again and again? Is it possible to design a society that doesn't just survive disasters, but thrives in the face of them? Or are we just delaying the inevitable? I'll leave you with that. Because the truth is, no amount of preparation can make us immune to the Earth's fury. But maybe, just maybe, we can learn to listen to the ground beneath our feet before it decides to shake us awake.